My art is so much about questions. It's about asking really good questions that I can't answer except by making art. Working with art over time is that the art is working with you and working on you, and you begin to understand more and more what drives you. These figures are my continued search to express something about who we are as human beings. Hi, I'm Marc Lancet, and I'm standing here in the exhibition called Marc Lancet Resonance and Wonder here at the Pence Gallery in Davis, California, the amazing communal sort of museum of this area. And I'm honored to be in this show, and I'm here to talk about my work. My art is so much about questions. It's about really asking really good questions that I can't answer except by making art. It's about generating questions because it's really a dialogue between myself and you, between myself and the world at large. There's a wonderful essay by Carl Rogers, the famous psychologist. He wrote a beautiful essay called Towards a Theory of Creativity. Defining creativity, he says, if no one sees what you do, it's not what I'm talking about in this essay because it doesn't fit my definition of creativity. Creativity is a communication. It's between the creator and the viewer, between the artist and the public. And so that's very much what my art is. My art is not complete until you see it, until you contemplate it, until you form some ideas about it, till it communicates something to you. And hopefully then you communicate it back to me and we start a dialogue. So it's always been a conversation. The series of figures that is in this exhibition, you can see one here, is called Luminous, which is a kind of unique title for a series of pieces that are made out of wood-fired clay, and they're opaque, they're dense, they're massive. And I'm calling them luminous. So I came across the title over time as I worked with the series because I have so many friends and students that I've worked with who have lived such amazing lives, and they haven't been easy, some of them. To see what these people have gone through and to see their spirit shine through. Basically, people are luminous. And these figures are my continued search to express something about who we are as human beings. And that search isn't unique to me. It's been going on about 30,000 years. There were these kind of goddess figures like the Venus of Willendorf and all of her sisters. There were many of these beautiful handheld sculptures found of these voluminous women, and that was a kind of expression of figure. And what's fascinated me through time from then is that urge for the human to express figure. And not just express figure, but the ones that really interest me are the dynamically abstract and simple. I see it in these masks behind me. My masks are really kind of, they're delightful warm-ups, and they're a chance for me to just abandon all preconception. And I just make a blank by crumpling up a big ball of newspaper, throwing a 25-pound slab of clay over it, shaping it either, you can see a kind of either long or human proportions, and then I don't know. And I just I prod something, I cut something, I move something, I add something, and I just keep going until it is born, until it speaks to me. So this search kind of idea is something I get to do because there's a sort of freedom in these masks, because they may take me 5-6 hours, where a figure will take, a small to medium figure might take me 5 or 6 days. This concept of search is fascinating to me because I really do feel like I'm looking for a kind of expression. I love the Cycladic art of prehistoric Greece, those incredibly simplified and geometric, certainly inspirations to Brancusi, I would imagine. Just such incredible Cycladic, those Cycladic pieces where so much is said with so little. And I think about those, and I think about the Jomon figures out of 1300 BC Japan, and how, again, very primal, direct they are. And all of these figures were from cultures that had something to say, something they needed to have in their lives. And so these figures and this kind of working has grown out of a very long history of working with art. I think we could talk more specifically about these figures because they really grow out of the search. And this is a series that started about 2000, I think. And this is the first time, the Pence show is the first time they've ever been shown almost in their entirety. There's a few more. I start by just making lots of textured slabs and lots of extruded shapes and lots of thrown closed forms. And then I start building what I'm thinking of as a sort of declining, decaying architecture, ruins. I'm creating ruins, which is kind of oxymoronic because ruins are supposed to be the result of decay over time, and I'm trying to capture that, but I'm making it fresh and new. So there's already challenge there. But I make these things, and then at some point I start building the figure. I start coiling up a leg or a mid-thigh or getting the figure going. And the minute I can see how the figure is going to progress, I just grab a chunk of extrusion and throw it in there, or I grab a thrown form and attach it, or I take a textured slab and throw it in there, because now I don't know what's going on anymore. And I have to re-look at what I'm doing, and suddenly I'm seeing it brand new again, and I'm not in charge. The figure is lost, and I have to go find it. I'm searching again. And that is the process that I developed because I realized over time through some really amazing mishaps that I needed to be, it was important for me to be creating in the moment and to be challenged in the moment and not know. That's one way to think about them, is through the process. So I could talk to you more about some of the things they've taught me in terms of as I live with them, as I look at them, what I realize, the conversation is a lot about who we are. Of course, it's always me expressing humanity, expressing who we are. What these are saying, when you look at them, you'll see that there's all this decaying architecture, and then the same elements, architectural elements, show up in the figure. And what that is, for me, is this idea that everything we do in life, everything, becomes part of us. And it becomes part of us physically, it becomes part of us spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. So that's kind of one of the central themes of this series, is that who we are as humans, in part, is created by our actions. And overarching all of it, I decided I needed to call it Luminous. And that is because of this feeling that that's who we are at our deepest selves, our potential, our capacity, our ability to do great things for each other. That gives you a sense of some of the ideas I have about these pieces and about this process. There's a deeper level that I hesitate to get into, but perhaps I'll just touch on this. So when I was in third grade or so, around then, I was first exposed to the tragic, astonishingly horrific stories of the Holocaust. And I was shown those pictures, of the piles of shoes, of the piles of glasses, of the piles of bodies. And how does an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old process that? And I think what I've come to understand is that I saw us, that anybody was capable of great good and great evil. And certainly we see that play out day by day. And I think my search for figure, my sculpture, has always had this sociological, this psychological component to it. Working with art over time is that the art is working with you and working on you, and you begin to understand more and more what drives you. Across the hall, there is this fabulous exhibition by an artist I greatly admire, Lisa Jetone. And I think coming to see my exhibition and Lisa's exhibition, you learn so much. We're both using clay. And yet we're universes apart. Lisa's work is so cerebral in some ways. It's completely tied to a profound aesthetic. She has a remarkable sense of design and composition. And she really looks at the world around her as something she can analyze and research and understand. And I bring that up because there is art all around us. Appreciation of art is just as creative. It's a practice to appreciate art. You don't have to know anything. You can start anytime, anywhere. You just come in and what does it feel like to you? What does it make you think of? There are no wrong answers. And there's this thing I know, and what I know is that you need art. We all need art.